Yeah, I guess it's like any, like, organisation or collective. There's always going to be certain people that take more on and take on certain roles. Some people take on much larger roles than others, but that's just natural. You can't expect any sort of collective to come together and everybody contribute evenly. It's never going to happen. But we assigned one of our other colleagues, Stephen Sewell, as a I guess like a production manager sort of role, that sort of to field out sort of work and to sort of coordinate. There's a lot of things going on. You can imagine 10 people, images flying around. You got designers and profilers and all other people working on it. It was a quite an arduous process actually, and it was it wasn't always pretty. But then you got 10 people who are very passionate about what they're doing, and while we work under a collective, there is individual visions and ideas about how things should sort of fall out and come together, and that's going to cause friction, but that friction is also very good. It's really helpful of the fact that most of the time we're brawling, I guess, like in getting it together, and it's surprising that we're actually together again, or even have remained together after putting this book out. But I think in the end, what we came up with was a product that was was completely uncompromised. It was I think the best product we could possibly achieve, and that was I guess the benefits of people sort of like being able to work together, but also being able to hit rough patches, but work it out as well.
Yeah, I guess one person could have a breakdown at a time, and you kind of got through it. That's fantastic, and I guess one of the things that we talked about when we spoke last was this idea as well that in photography, a lot of if you're looking for grants or for funding of some kind, a lot of that comes from competitions. And yet the process of entering competitions as a photographer can be really arduous and expensive as well. So you guys actually provide support for each other in working out which competitions to go for, how to enter them, what the best process is, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah, very much. I think each of us could do with a second life to go about entering all these competitions. It's, some of them take a day or days to enter. In fact, to seek funding for this book and for the exhibition that coincided with it, we employed a professional in the area to, first of all, seek grants that were appropriate, and then to apply for them. And we didn't get a one. She spent a number of months, probably 6 months, doing these grants, applying for these grants, and in the end we had to look to other means of funding, and we started thinking laterally and thinking about who could perhaps benefit from contributing, and for people that it would benefit them. So it was for a while. It was pretty disillusioning, getting knocked back one time after another from these traditional funding bodies. But in the end, we did get some funding from a very generous donor who has also contributed to the MCA, a little more than he contributed to the book, but so it got us over the line in the end. But we've really struggled to put out the book, yeah. But it happened in the end, yeah.
And I guess the other benefit of working in a collective is that you don't all give up at once. There's got to be, you kind of pass the torch on. And I guess that one of the things that I find really interesting is when we started to work out this Making It Happen session, a lot of the people who ran some of the most ambitious projects in town were actually collectives or duos, or there was this theme that it takes more than one person sometimes to get a really big project off the ground, whether it's a book or an exhibition or an event. So can you tell me a little bit as well about the exhibition that went into that came out at the same time as the book?
Yeah, that was that opened and closed in Manly, like regional gallery. Yeah, we intended that exhibition to be touring from day one. It was always going to be a touring exhibition. We wanted it to move around Australia. We applied for a touring grant to get that going, and that fell through. And so, I mean, essentially most of everything we do has been self-funded. It's the hardest thing. I mean, it's like most funding bodies in Australia have, I guess, largely ignored our group. Our successes have been overseas. Our major successes are largely international. I guess as a collective, certain people find it hard to sort of, I guess, comprehend a sort of a documentary-based collective, because most people sort of see, documentary work as very solitary, sort of individual pursuit, type thing, and so we're often referred to as an agency. People often refer to us as being an agency, and with an agency comes the adage that it's a commercial pursuit. And I think this has worked, negatively for us. That people think we're just another agency, and in that respect, I think certainly arts funding bodies have looked at us and gone, well, these guys are a commercial enterprise. They're not proper artists, so forth. And so we've never been ever able to I guess managed to secure any funding for anything. The exhibition, I guess, has all been funded by ourselves. I mean, and these are the exhibitions, and that's $20,000 for an exhibition. The book's a $50,000 book. I mean, we're lucky we got our donation was a 40% sort of component to this book. So it's still $30,000, but to produce the book, and that's that's the beauty of being a collective is that comes down that that sharing that sort of those financial costs means it makes it very achievable. Like most of us would be wouldn't be able to sort of produce this book, not at this sort of cost. And this is producing offshore. It's not producing in Australia. The same book to produce in Australia would cost us $90,000. It's just finance that you can't do basically. So it's been pretty hard for us, to work in Australia. The situation here, the market here has been, it's very hard, and I guess it's just dedication and sticking with it, and passion that keeps it alive here. But most of our audiences and our commissions these days are from international magazines and so forth.